Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now we are finding out all about Ferencvaros on today's video. David's here. Hi David.
Hi Hamish, hope you're well.
Yep, not bad at all. We're chatting to Tomasz Mortimer, who is a Hungarian football writer. He's written for the likes of The Guardian, ESPN. He's also the founder of HungarianFootball.com. PTSD going on here, Thomas, because the last time I spoke to you, we were just about to be dumped out of the Champions League by Ferencvaros. So just about over that at this stage. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, better now than I was about a year ago. How much have Ferencvaros changed in that time?
Yeah, quite a bit, to be honest. So their manager, Sergei Rebrov, who was basically a hero at that club, has now left. And I say he was a hero because taking Ferencvaros to the Champions League was a huge feat for the club. First time they've been there since mid-90s. And first time almost pretty much they've been really that close to getting there to the Champions League was under Rebrov. Before that they were a very good side, but in Europe they just collapsed hilariously, to be honest. They just almost were just seen as a joke in Europe compared to how good they were in the league. But they've changed quite a bit. A lot of the core is still there, but the way they play football is slightly different. I think they were very, maybe say a little bit negative under Rebrov, but it worked perfectly, like bunker football, they call it in Hungary. And that was kind of what we saw at Celtic Park like last year. I know Celtic fans thought that they played terribly that day, but they had a lot of the ball. They had a lot of chances. The Bush made a few amazing saves. Whereas this season, Ferencvaros under Sturger, used to be the former Dortmund manager, a little bit more open, a little bit more attacking in Europe compared to what they were under Rebrov. And like I say, a lot of the core is still there, but there has been some really good additions. Zachariasen in midfield and Ryan May up top, are really two awesome players. Lonchar as well was bought for 1.5 million, which is a huge amount of money in Hungarian terms. So yeah, they have evolved. So I think that what we will see on Tuesday will be a more attacking Ferencvaros compared to what we saw just over a year ago.
I know they slipped up at the weekend there just yesterday, but they've generally looked as if they've had a strongest start to the season, scoring a lot of goals. They've looked really competitive in the group so far. Are they stronger this year, Thomas?
On paper, definitely. Like you say, they did slip up the weekend, but they made a few changes to their lineup, obviously with Tuesday's game in mind. The thing is, they have some players. Mohamed Besic used to play for Everton in the Premier League, and Marco Marin, who played for Chelsea. They signed them within the past month or so, and they can't play in the Europa League. So, like I said, they made a few changes at the weekend with Tuesday's game in mind, but they still have players of Besic and Marin's quality who still do play in the league. And like I say, they've made some really good signings. Ryan May is awesome, especially at this level. Like Frank Bolly is a really good striker as well, who they used to have, who played in Champions League games last season, scored a couple of goals against Juventus and Dynamo Kiev. But they've signed a better striker in Ryan May. And like I say, Zachariasen is an awesome player, Norwegian. And Lancha as well, who we've not really seen the best of, but he came with a real reputation. La Liga teams were after him and stuff. So they are a better team, but like because they play a little bit more openly, I think that's what kind of one of the things that cost them in the Champions League this year. They were a little bit open compared to last season, where they played this bunker footsie or bunker football as they call it.
It's interesting. I'm looking at their squad now, and it's so multinational. You've got a Norwegian there, you've got a Slovakian, a Finnish forward, Ivorians. There's basically every nationality apart from Hungarian. There is a couple of Hungarians, but there's a Bosnian in there, there's a German, obviously Marin you mentioned. I think a Georgian in there as well. It's interesting looking at this group because they're probably the team people would write off out of the four, but they're the team who played in the Champions League last year. None of the other three did. and they weren't far away this year either. They were, young boys, a couple of goals away, 1 goal away from making it in the end.
Yeah, and you see what Young Boys have done in the Champions League. They beat Man United. That was a real seeing Young Boys beat Man United was a real surprise to me, because they didn't look that good against Ferencvaros. Obviously, teams rise to who they play against and stuff. But yeah, like you say, Ferencvaros weren't far away from making it. They ended up losing, I think, by 2 goals in the end. But one of them goals was 95th minute goal, when Ferencvaros were just chasing the game. And were a man down at the time as well. In the first leg in Bern, they should have got more of a result. They were 1-0 up, missed a penalty, and were also a man up, and ended up losing that game 3-2 in Bern. So they really should have put up a better fight and maybe even made it to the Champions League this year again. Like you say, they are multinational. There's barely any Hungarians in the team, which is a bit of a annoyance for a lot of Hungarians. Dennis de Bush, the goalkeeper, who's really, really good, is the Hungarian, and Andre Botka, usually the ones who play. Bonnet Voce as well, who played for the national team against England the other night. He's also really, really good. But like you say, they're not very well known, and I guess you just see them on the name on paper, and you think, yeah, these guys are going to be the whipping boys. But the team, like I say, multinational, but pretty much all of the whole squad are national team players as well. Like Besic, Besic isn't in the Europa League squad, but he's a Bosnian international. Like Civic is a Bosnian international. Lanchar is a Bosnian international. Bolly, who I say is a second striker, plays for Ivory Coast. Ryan May and Sam May play for Morocco. Almost everyone in that squad plays for their national team, which is kind of unheard of. I know they're not playing for like huge nations, but Top Max at Norway plays or gets in the squad pretty much every time. Robert Mack scored in the Euros for Slovakia. Subkov was playing for Ukraine and then got injured, but they made the last 16 or last 8, was it, when they lost to England?
Yeah, England.
So like these players like play at a very, very decent level for national teams, and that's kind of unheard of in Hungarian League, really. And I guess that's what makes them, in my opinion, like the best team Hungary have produced probably in 30 years. They are that good, and yeah, they are underestimated a lot because they come from Hungary, and Hungary don't produce good club sides, but they're a very, very good side.
See, just on, you spoke about a player earlier there, Thomas, Frank Bolly. From what I'm reading, it seems as though they've had a bit of drama with him recently. I'm not actually sure he was even included in the Europa League squad. Can you explain what's happened there and where Frank Bolly is in the pecking order at Ferencvaros?
So he is kind of number 2 striker, and he played at the weekend against Alajörgeszeg. But when he went on national team duty, he went early and came back late and did it twice. And I think he just wants a way out. I think he's seen Ryan May come into the side and beat him to his position. And he's like, do I really want to sit on the bench behind this guy? I was the number one. Well, I was the number 1 at the start of last season, and then I played in the Champions League and I scored a couple of goals, but they didn't even start me in a lot of those games. And then this season it comes around and I'm not the number 1 striker again. And I think he's a little bit fed up. He's playing for Ivory Coast with a lot of quality footballers who are in that Ivory Coast team. And I think he just sees himself a little bit better than that. And he's fallen out with Sturga, and then they've kind of reconciled since then. But I just don't think he sees his future there, especially as a number 2 striker, which he's very, very good, and he would make it at a lot of teams around Europe, and a lot of European teams, I think, as well. But he just happens to be behind a striker who Ferencvaros have unbelievably just nabbed out of nowhere, essentially. I mean, it's not hard how the connection came, because his brother plays at centre-half, but the way that they've just been able to nab him from the mid-table Cypriot team is incredible in Ryan May. So, I think it's just his nose is put out of joint a little bit.
How does Ryan May differ from Frank Bolly as a striker?
So I think Frank Bolly's very good at linking play and very good at scoring, but Ryan May is just just has all the kind of the components as a number 9 striker, like Frank Bolly does have, but he just does it to a higher level. His link-up play is awesome, and he's a lot sharper around the box, and I think it's kind of just overall sharpness, really, in his passing, in his finishing, in his ability to, like, I guess, movement in the box and stuff like that. So, like, he's kind of just a very similar type in many ways, but like just a higher level and a harder worker as well. There's no doubt about that. Frank Bolly is kind of a striker who will do the very good things with the ball at his feet, but I guess the defensive stuff he wasn't in the team to do, and I guess that's why when Ferencvaros were playing in the Champions League last year, you couldn't really rely on him to be that number 1 striker because he wasn't working as hard as someone like Ryan May would. Like, Ryan May would have been awesome in the Champions League last year. So yeah, he's just. I would say, yeah, I'd be very surprised if Ryan May's at Ferencvaros again next season because he deserves to move to a better league. He's just awesome.
What is it about these bollies and going AWOL?
I know, eh? Ours is back and playing well, to be fair. It was good yesterday.
But not eligible for Tuesday, of course, Bolly. But we'll come on to Celtic in a minute. Thomas, I got a question in from Aidan on Twitter wanting to know how seriously Ferencvaros are taking Europe this season. Is there any debate there over how seriously they're going to take this match?
Yeah, it's the number 1 competition for them. They can win the league. I mean, they obviously slipped up this weekend against Zalgiris, but they can basically win the league with their second team because it is that good. Like, the second team that played yesterday is by far the best team in the league anyway. So they are basically resting their players for this big for the Europa League and Europe, because it's not like every season that a Hungarian team is in Europe, and like I say, like they can kind of just win the league at a canter. They can go through this half of the season resting their players all like every week if they wanted to, and by Christmas they can probably just win every league game towards the end of the season if they wanted to. It's not out of the realms of possibility. They're just that's one of the things that happens in these kind of European leagues. You get into Europe a few times and you get so much money, you just start to pull away from everyone else in the league. And Ferencvaros are the de facto biggest club in the country anyway. So with all the money poured in behind the fact that they are the biggest club, they get the most revenue from stadiums and fans, obviously. They're just pulling away, and it's kind of a struggle for the rest of everyone else to catch up.
Interesting. We used to have those days where we could basically, rest half a team and still win the league. Sadly, no longer. But it's interesting to see that's where they're at. Who are the key players then? You've mentioned, I think, the whole squad, Thomas. But who are the guys you'd pick out? I mean, Tokmak was a guy who scored the winner at Celtic Park a year ago. I think back then when we spoke, he was the one you actually picked out. Would he still be the main man, or would it be someone like me?
I think those two for sure. Like, Tokmak is just awesome, and he was a player who was linked to a lot of clubs in the summer, and I think he wanted to go, to be honest. I think he kind of felt that his time was up and how much more can I really achieve at this club. Similar to Rebrov as well. Like, he came towards last season and was like, I've taken it to the Champions League, there's not really much more I can do here. And Tokmak is, again, like I say, a level above. To get into that Norway squad with the amount of talent they have is pretty impressive as well, especially from a league like Hungary. He's awesome, and he'll be very similar to how he played at Celtic Park last year, and obviously scored the winner, didn't he? It was that little mazy run. Ryan May, I've already spoken about highly. Really, really good, playing for Morocco international, and I think those two for sure. I think also Čuvić is a good person to mention at left back. I think he was playing this time last year. They had another left back before that, Marcel Heist, who's left out. But yeah, Čuvić is really, really awesome. Bosnian international.
I remember Mac as well. That name rings a bell. I think he maybe scored a few goals against Scotland maybe 5 or 6 years ago. You just kind of remember these names.
Yeah, and he scored in the Euros for Slovakia. Actually, I think it was went down to an own goal in the end. He had a shot that rebounded off the keeper and went in. But like Robert Mackey's a really good player. He just doesn't even play every week because Ferencvaros have so much attacking talent that a Slovakian international who was starting in the Euros isn't even like the first name on the team sheet. So Zubkov is another player who is a one to look out for as well, Ukrainian international.
Weaknesses?
I think midfield is definitely a weakness. They lost Karatin in the summer, who was really good, scored in the Champions League last year. And they've replaced him with Vecchi, who is good, and he's playing very well at the moment. But he's kind of come from he wasn't playing for Ferencvaros' first team and was loaned out. And now all of a sudden he's kind of first name on the team sheet, and that in my opinion, that is a bit of a worry. Lanchar can play there, and Zachariasen plays beside him as well. But like these two players, despite how talented they are, they haven't really set the world alight compared to how much they were bought for. So I think their midfield's going through a little bit of a transition at the moment. David Shiger as well, who played last year, is out injured. And this is the reason why like someone like Besic was bought about a month ago. It was almost like, he used to play for the club back before he went to the Premier League, before he went to the Premier League, and was sort of highly, he's a bit of a club legend almost. And that's the reason why he was brought in a month ago, but it was obviously too late for the Europa League campaign. So midfield is a definite worry, and I think they can get run over in there because that midfield isn't going to dominate the game, and that's going to be a bit of a problem sometimes for the attacking talent, because there is so much attacking talent that Ferrari do have, that sometimes they just don't get the ball enough and don't get the ball in good areas because that midfield doesn't dominate the game, and especially against Betis and Leverkusen, who they did do very well against in both games for two sides from top leagues. They just couldn't get the balls to them enough, and then also defensively, I don't think they do enough either. They just can be ran over, which I think if Celtic are going to win this game, if they can dominate the midfield, I think they will win it.
Guys, we've spoken for nearly 20 minutes on this, and we've not even mentioned the crazy elephant in the room, which is the kickoff time, a Tuesday afternoon game. I'll ask you both, starting with David, whether you think that'll have a bearing on the match. Obviously not the kickoff time itself, but the fact that Celtic Park isn't going to be sold out under the floodlights. It's going to be, 25,000-30,000 on a Tuesday afternoon.
We'll see what the attendance is like first and foremost. Of course, can have an effect. We all know how powerful the Celtic Park crowd can be, but then again, we had a full Celtic Park against Bayer Leverkusen, and we didn't really turn up well that night for me. So I think I don't really want to go into it too much, Hamish. It's a kick-off time. The players have to deal with it. The manager's known about it for a long time. So we should be thoroughly prepared to go out and take the game to them at that time of day. It's not as if it's middle of the night, it's 3:30, so we should be up for it.
Probably prefer middle of the night, to be honest. Thomas, any thoughts on the kick-off time?
I think it will help Friday. I think if that game last year, when the two sides met, was played in front of a full capacity crowd, the scoreline would probably have been a little bit different. I know Celtic weren't going through a great period at the time anyway. But I think the fact that it won't be poisonous, it won't be as hostile as it can be, I think will definitely be good for Friday. But like I say, these guys are seasoned internationals. They've played in big games themselves. They played away in Bern in the Champions League, and I know they didn't win, they lost, and they probably should have won that day, but they have played in atmospheres like it. I think they would have been probably fine, but I think if anything, it definitely gives them a little bit of an edge, which they probably wouldn't have had without it.
Interesting. We pick our team quickly, David. Have you got a team there, or have I put you in deep water?
You've just shoved it upon me, but
I'll give you my team first then, and you can tell me whether you disagree with this. Joe Hart in goals, back four of Ralston, Carter Vickers, Starfelt and Montgomery, Callum McGregor and Nir Beaton midfield with Rogic in front of them, Abada right, Kyogo through the middle and Jota left. Where would you differ?
I think he's I think he's going to try and play the two of them again. I think he's going to try and play Turnbull and Rogic from the start. And I don't agree with it personally, Hamish. I just think from what he's seen at Fir Park, I think he'll put both of them in. I think they both actually played quite well. I'm not for it. I still think it's a bit convoluted. I don't think you give the defence enough protection in front of them either without Beaton in there. As Scott McDonald said in a video last week, Cal McGregor isn't a natural sitter, but I've got a feeling that's what he's going to do. I think he's going to try and take the game to them, rely on Celtic's quality going forward, and hope we outscore them instead of trying to focus on combating Ferencvaros' strengths. You could be right. He could throw Beaton in. He did it at Pataudry out of nowhere, really. So he does have this tendency to throw a wee curveball every now and again. But I've got a feeling he'll go with Rogic and Turnbull in the centre of the pitch. Other than that, I agree with your starting 11 so long as Montgomery's fit. Bit of question marks over that, maybe. And then we've got a big question at left back if he isn't. Does he throw Liam Scales in? Who else does he throw in outside of that?
I don't think there is anyone else. It's Scales or Montgomery. I agree with you. I think Ange will try and prove that this Turnbull Rogic thing can work. I get the impression that he wants to do that, and I'm torn whether he might start both of them in this game. So I take that point. The thing that got me was I don't know if you saw the comment he said, and it may just be one wee throwaway comment that I'm reading too much into, but he said we can rotate the team a little bit. Now, to me, when he's talking about rotating the team, that isn't a guy who's just talking about the left-back position. That's not rotating the team. So I just wonder if he might put Beaton in next to McGregor and either Rogic or Turnbull, with the other one maybe coming off the bench in the latter stages. In terms of the rest of the team, there's not really much can change, can it? I mean, Abada, Kyogo, Jota, you've not got really many options to change that. The back four, obviously, other than left-back, there's not really many options. You wouldn't really want to change it anyway.
No, it picks itself, really, doesn't it? And to be fair, I don't think many of them did themselves any harm yesterday either. I thought it was a good performance. Thought it was solid enough. Tricky venue. I know we've had some joy there in the past, but it's still a tough venue for Park. Thought they controlled the game really well. And I don't think there's many other changes he would make. Maybe a couple he could. I don't think he'd go down those routes though. Your top of that comment, was that specific to the Ferencvaros game?
Yeah,
about rotating the team.
I think so.
Maybe I don't know. I thought he wouldn't have started Rogic or Kyogo against Motherwell, so I'm not sure how much rotation he'll actually do. He had a chance to rest a couple there at Fir Park and chose not to. So I don't know. I think he's going to go with Rogic and Turnbull through the middle. I do, but might be wrong. I was wrong at the weekend. I'm wrong.
How do you think it's going to go, Thomas?
I think it's one. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but I feel like it's whoever scores first is probably going to win this game. I think if Frodi open up a little bit, then they will be, kind of exposed to counters, and I know the defense is pretty decent, and they haven't been a team who have just, if they've conceded first and just they collapsed, but I think it does depend on who really scores first, to be honest, in this game. I'm going to go for a 1-1 though. Actually, I think Frodi might just catch Celtic cold a little bit. I know Celtic probably need to win this game as well, and so the Frodi, but especially I guess Celtic because they're being at home. But I think them. Yeah, I think they're two even sides, to be fair.
As Celtic fans, we're kind of looking at this new third place in the Europa League group as being it's kind of a bit of a polarising topic. Some fans think it'd be great for us to go into the latter stages of the Conference League. Others think we should just focus on the league. I take it, given what you've said about Ferencvaros and their focus being on Europe, that third place for them and a crack at the Conference League might actually be quite attractive.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Their focus will be 100% on winning the league, the same as you guys, because also it gives you Champions League entry. Like the league itself is huge recognition for Ferencvaros, and their fans will never get bored of winning that league for sure, especially when they're beating rivals, in the case it was you guys. But I think, like I say, they're too good to kind of not win the league anyway. So I don't think it will matter so much that if they do go into third place, they've not got someone like Rangers who are like as good as them, or maybe a little bit better or a little bit worse.
Careful.
I know. That's why I said a little bit better or a little bit worse. Who are actually going to rival them for the league? There's no one like that. It's just Ferrodi or themselves. They're going to beat themselves. So if they were to go into a spring European season, it's not really going to affect them too much, I don't think. They'll be absolutely delighted if they got third in this group against three huge clubs, to be honest.
David, can we get your verdict on how it's going to go on Tuesday afternoon?
I think it's going to be tighter than maybe some would hope. I think it's going to be a good match. You know, they've got a few attacking talents there we need to be wary of. I think it's going to be a very open game. Of course, I'm going to go Celtic to nick it. Of course, we need it to sort of spark our European campaign into a start, to be honest, with no points so far. So I'm going to go Celtic. I think it'll be a narrow win, Hamish, but I think we'll put in a decent performance. With regards to that third place, you know, it's European football for us in particular. I know you're talking about being a polarising sort of topic. It's European football. Our club's made its name in the European stage. It's what we're so proud of. We'd never knock back European football. I know it's a new competition. I know people are a bit scared of new things. But if we drop into that, if our qualification to the last 32 of the Europa League doesn't go through, I'd very much take that. I think it's great that we still have the chance to be involved in Europe after Christmas, should we finish third. And this game's massive for that. It's one or two massive games for it, I think. And hopefully Celtic turn up. I think they will, and I think it'll be a good game. And I'm going to go for us to nick it 2-1.
Good stuff. Coefficient points, of course, on the line on Tuesday and on the line in the Conference League as well. I feel like that's something people have kind of ignored a little bit. Yeah. Right, should be a good game then, lads. You have both got me up for it. Thomas, thanks so much for joining us. People can get you on Thomas. Twitter at Tomasz Mortimer. And thanks a lot, mate.
Yeah, pleasure.